All right, pleasure to have you, Mr. Karygiannis. As we know, at the moment, the Canadian government is voicing strong opinion about the violations in Sri Lanka, but what do you think the next proceeding by the government and the Liberals should be upon this issue?
Well, the government finally seen the light. In 2009, February, they were saying that the two sides should come together and, make peace and all that stuff. But while the government was saying this, we know what was happening in Sri Lanka. There were the killing fields, and people were moved from place to place, and they were supposed to be safe. And when they were moved into that place, the government of Sri Lanka bombed. The government of Sri Lanka has made a Truth and Reconciliation paper. I sort of started reading, and after the second page, I almost wanted to puke, and I put it down. So the point is that this government, this conservative government, should stop pandering and give a clear message to the government of Sri Lanka. Enough is enough. We will not accept it, and stop victimizing the Tamil nation.
So how do you, the Liberals, the third opposition, and maybe as well the NDP, how do you plan to put pressure on the government to do so?
Well, we're working on a private member's motion across the floor, and the motion will say we condemn what happened in Sri Lanka. We're working with that. There's myself, Rathika, and C.S. Liang from the Conservatives, and we're hoping that we will present it soon and, move forward.
And as you know, Sri Lanka is reliant on aid by institutions like the IMF, but the IMF did pass its loan approval to Sri Lanka, and Canada is a contributor to the IMF. So how can this government ensure that the UN is against what happened in Sri Lanka, but yet we're giving them money?
You know what? The United Nations certainly has its intricacies, and if one permanent member stands up and says, no, I don't agree. I mean, look what's happening in Syria today. Everybody wants to condemn what's happening. Everybody wants to meet responsibility protective, and all of a sudden Russia says, no, 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 no. So I think we need to go outside the sphere of the United Nations, but still work in the United Nations. There's the G8 and there's the G20. The G8 and the G20 are economic powerhouses, and we should clearly state in those structures that if you want to deal with the G8, or you want to be part of the G20, or you want to make business with that, three things got to happen. One, you got to have freedom of the press, freedom of religion, human rights, and if the human rights are not violated and the press is free to then they can deal with us. I mean, there's countries in the G20 right now that are perpetrators of those things. Look what's happening in parts of the world where, especially Turkey, where you have one of the highest, ratio of killing of people in the press. So that has to change, and we have to say clearly to Sri Lanka, you want to deal with us, then there's three things: freedom of the press, freedom of religion, and human rights violations. If you don't adhere to that, you won't deal with us, we won't buy your goods, and not only, you may be getting money from the United Nations, but you're not going to get money from our business, and you're not going to get money from our people. So next time when somebody reads a tag and says, this made in this particular country, where it does not adhere to it, we don't purchase from them.
Thank you very much, Mr. Karygiannis.